Good morning, everyone. Again, this is Sky Hayes from Austin, Texas, your elite Pro 8 leader. And currently, we are here. Greg and I are here in the Philippines, ending our third month of stay. Can you believe that? Yes. And we are still staying for a couple of months to serve you all and run with you in growing your Philippine market. Yes. And that said, are you all in to learn the three phases to become a successful leader like Blue Elam? Well, if so, please ensure that you have your pen and papers in front of you, because our special guest that we have for today is someone you don't want to miss, okay? Obviously, we're blessed to have our top rank executive master pro 10, Blue Elam. He will be, I'm so excited. I can't even talk. He will be with us to provide us with some powerful nuggets on how to build and improve our LifeVantage business. That includes me, right? Guys, I could spend the majority of this meeting just telling you about Blue and his family and how amazing these human beings are. Yet, let me provide you with just some of the history, okay, of Blue Elam. Well, he is married to the love of his life, Ray, and they are blessed with 6 kids. His professional career just actually started as a fireman. A good friend introduced him and his cousin to LifeVantage just before the company kicked off as a network marketing business. And just like everyone else, he saw this ABC primetime investigative video, so he and his cousin decided to get involved. So through a lot of hard work, you guys, hard work and learning, they were able to retire. They were able to retire from being firemen and have been 100% into being LifeVantage distributors ever since, from the very beginning. Thus, through his rise to earning the rank of Executive Master Pro 10, Blue and his family faced incredible challenges in their lives. You can relate to that, right? However, even through all of these adversities in life, they still have the smile on their faces, service in their heart. So it's apparent that Blue and his wife were very smart enough to take advantage of one of the most things about LifeVantage opportunity by being a person who can dig the well before getting thirsty. That's the key moral of the story here. So Blue and his family have been an inspiration to thousands of people, including us. And today we are proud to have our Executive Master Pro 10, Blue Elam, to share with us the three phases to becoming a successful network marketing in LifeVantage and along with his story. Okay, Blue, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me okay, Kai?
We can hear you quite okay, and we are just
Awesome.
so excited. Greg and I can't be so excited. Oh my God, I'm so thrilled. Can you tell I'm so spastic right now because you honor us. You honor all of us, Blue. We love you and we thank you. And so I'll take it over to you. It's all yours now, Blue. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you so much for the nice introduction. Um, it's been a long couple days. My eyes are a little puffy and red. We've been helping people all over different times of the day. It's only Friday night here. I know it's Saturday morning for you guys, and so it's weird sometimes to wake up tomorrow and realize that you guys have already been there, and that we've already been able to do hopefully some good in sharing our hearts, our stories, and just sharing with each other. Everyone has something so valuable to share in this company, and so I was looking through those on the gallery view, just seeing the faces and the pictures, and a lot of familiar faces, and I appreciate those who I've had a chance to meet, those who I had a chance to visit when I was out in Philippines and doing some of those things. I love some of the families of the kids in the background, and I remember so many times I was actually doing presentations, and my little boy would be with me, and his job was to erase the whiteboard. That was when I point at him, he would erase the whiteboard, and some people couldn't understand why I would bring my little boy to work, right? Supposedly. And I just, man, this is so awesome. If you've ever been on a job like the fire department or something where you can't be around your family, and sometimes you have to quarantine when you have a sickness come through the fire station or something. And when you have those kind of jobs, and then you get to hang out with your kids and family all the time, it just gives you a perspective that you just want to shout from the rooftops and make everyone know and understand. So I'm sympathetic for your guys' situation. I think we've all been through trials and they're all different. I can never say I know what you're going through because I don't think that's fair for anyone to say. But I can say that I've been through my fair share of stuff, right? Life stuff that we've had to deal with. And I hope to share some of that today. I have a few things planned. I put a couple things on a little PowerPoint, maybe some things that we can laugh at and have a good time with, some things we can learn from. And all in all, I hope we just leave here tonight a little bit better, a little bit more united, maybe a little bit more committed, and maybe our skill levels up a little bit so we can do a little better job with our businesses. Because I really believe, and I really hold on to this thought, that if we will go make this a priority in our lives right now, that months, years from now, and I'll even say generations, have the potential to be very, very different for our grandkids and great grandkids, right? Down the line. I just see some neat things happening, and I just want to make sure that we're kind of all on that page. But let me I'm going to share my screen really quick and just make sure we're kind of on that same page. Got a couple quotes here and a couple things that I think we can just have some fun with. So one of my favorite quotes, and I'm gonna read some of these. You guys can snap a little screenshot if it's helpful. I gotta move my chat window out of the way here so we can see. But man, what a fun time. I want to start with this idea for tonight, okay? Most people negotiate the price of success so long that they would have been there by now if they would have just paid it. Now think about that for a minute. There's a price to be paid for success. It's even bigger than that. Anything that has value in my life, I've looked at the serious value, things like my relationships with my kids, my wife, some of the most important spiritual connections that I've learned and gained, and friendships that have been developed. And I can tell you that the ones that have the most value required sacrifice. They required our time. They required maybe some unusual things to take place. Not just risks, but calculated risks and going out and maybe some kind of temporary imbalance for a long-term balance, right? Sometimes there's a short-term heartache to get to some security in the long run. But I do think that sometimes we negotiate that price. Sometimes it's a literal price. I've seen people negotiate, well, how much does the pack cost? How much does this cost? Can I do it cheaper? Can I do it for less? What do I need to spend every month on products? Some people negotiate and negotiate and negotiate until sometimes I think they negotiate themselves into a very, very different process of success. And I think most people, if they just wouldn't negotiate, they would just follow a system and follow a system that works, that they can get the success that they want very, very quickly. Now, I know some systems don't work. And I just brought these up to be funny, and maybe we could talk a little bit and have some fun, because people send me stuff all the time. I did a talk about 5 years ago called Systems That Don't Work, because I was trying to emphasize that when you find a system that does work, hold on to it, because there's a lot of systems that don't work, right? And so see if this relates to you a little bit. Here's some funny ways to look at some of these things. That to me doesn't work, right? When you walk into a restroom, a lot of my friends have a funny personality, and they started sending me stuff. And the question was, how does this work, right? How does this system work? And they're just some funny, unique ways. I don't know what you do when you walk into that room and someone's already in there, right? I just don't know what do you say, or what do you do, right? This one's kind of interesting because you have to look face to face when you're doing your business, right? So just some funny things people send me, right? This one, they put the doors too high, so it's kind of funny you can't see people looking, but maybe they're kind of an awkward situation. And you guys feel free to send me these. I have hundreds. I've just tried to grab a few for the day to look at, but can you imagine looking for the paper and it's in the cabinet? You can't even reach it, huh? I wish I could see all your faces. I got a few of you, but when we do this live, I just love the laughter and the fun, because this one's outside. I don't know how you fit on that. You got to stay very skinny your whole life to use that. I don't know who thought of this, but put glass doors around all the bath. I don't know the purpose, if that's doing its job or not. But maybe a system that doesn't work, right? I don't understand some of these. They're just trying to get the numbers in there, right? I don't know. Some of these people just send them to me. This is kind of fun when you talk about a conference room. Just, if you have to, you're not far from the bathroom, I guess, if you're in that conference room, but maybe a little embarrassing. This one, I don't know. You got to climb up there to get on. I don't know if I understand all of that, but some of these my daughters send me, because my two daughters, if you know our story, are now in wheelchairs after a car accident. And they send me funny stuff all the time saying, Dad, I was going down, crossing the road, and there was a curve in the middle of the road. And I had to overcome the obstacle, right? Wheelchair parking with like 10 steps. I don't know. I just know there's things out there that just don't make sense, right? You imagine coming all the way down this ramp, get to the bottom, and have to try to turn around or something. I don't know. And this one's steep. I used to laugh. My daughter said, "Yeah, put me on that, Dad. I don't know if I'll make it. Just how steep it is. Drains that are too high don't do its job, right? All the work to do it, but it didn't work." This was in an MRI where they had a metal in the room, so the magnet is so strong it pulled the metal into the machine with the thing. A tree in the road. Look at this guy's poured concrete over the railroad tracks. It's funny. People send me this all the time. I don't know if you want to buy these seats at the place, but you pay a lot of money to go to the ball game, and you sit right in front of a wall. I don't know how that works. This guy strapped his vehicle down, his quad, but he's tapped it to the tire. So my question to this one is, do you tell him when he shows up, or you just stand back and film when he drives away to see what happens, right? I don't know. So I just think there's reality and maybe some fun in the idea that there's a lot of different concepts and ideas out there. And I just want you to know that we have been pretty consistent in making sure a message is taught that people can hold on to. It's consistent, it works. You're not gonna hear me say, try this, I read it in a book, see what happens. That's not the kind of training I ever give. For me, it's, here's what we did, here's what we've done, here's the mistakes we've made, here's the things we did well, here's the things we're still learning to do, right? But you're gonna get a very well-rounded, I think, approach when, especially, you had Mark Shinsato on here last week, and Kai's doing a great job rounding people up and helping us to get on and talk to you guys. We love doing this. We love somebody to lead it and put it all together and be on the ground there to make that happen. And Marjorie, for you too, I appreciate your team getting on. But it's awesome to be able to have this type of leadership, right? Leaders that are close enough to relate, but just far enough ahead to inspire. And that's a delicate balance. Being willing to tell stories that make us a little vulnerable, being willing to share times in our life, maybe when things were tough, we didn't have a lot of money, things were difficult, trials happen, but then showing just enough information to show that there's a way out. We can inspire, we can lead, we can show that this has the ability to help us to grow and change and have true success. So one of my favorite quotes when you look at leadership. Now, there's been a lot of hard times. This has been my favorite little slide to show over the last 2 years, actually, when I talk to groups around the world, all in different situations, even cities that are in different situations. But here's a neat question. How deep is the mud, right? If you ask the big dog how deep the mud is, what's his answer going to be? Right? And you guys feel free to put your thoughts in the text. I can see some of those in the text, but what would your thoughts be if you asked the big dog? What about the little dog, right? Sometimes the trials depend on who you ask, right? Because sometimes it's the same trial, but we just look at it different. Maybe we've been in a different situation. Maybe we've been through similar stuff in the past, so we've already learned and we can go through it easier. But we all go through the same stuff differently. Okay, think about that. A couple of years ago, what's going on right now, we're all going through it, but I sometimes think that our optimism, our perspective, our leadership, our choices put us in a position to sometimes thrive in tough situations, and then sometimes we have a little hard time through the problem, right? It stops us, it bogs us down. What if that was a foot deeper? The little dog might have more problems, right? And it's not just a size thing. I'm more showing this for maybe our character, our growth, our personal growth. Where are we personally in the process of learning and growing and overcoming? So some of this I thought about you. I don't know all of your situations that you guys are going through, but I know some of them, and I just feel for some of the things you guys are going through. But I will say, when I had my situation take place, I woke up in the hospital after a bad accident and found out my two daughters were both paralyzed. They were both going to never walk again. They were paralyzed from the waist down. My wife was going to probably lose her leg. I wasn't supposed to walk anymore. I had some things going on. They reconstructed part of my face. There was some stuff going on. And I just remember thinking, man, this is heavy. Like it was big, right? To walk in the room and try to explain to my daughter, both of my daughters who were volleyball stars, we were actually coming home from a volleyball weekend, a tournament where they just crushed it. They were just doing so good. And to be able to view that a little differently, because we had some stuff figured out with our finances. We had just hit the executive rank in the company. And you guys know the income statement form and what that means. And it's helped us to just put things in a perspective. We could write a check when someone needed to be paid. And it wasn't a bigger issue because of finances. It was, at least I didn't have to go to a job. I didn't have to show up anywhere to work. I could be with my family, with my daughter at 2 a.m. when she needed help. I could be there. When my wife said, hey, can we talk? This is a hard day. I was right there. I didn't have to go anywhere. I was actually able to leave the hospital in a couple of days. They told me if I could get to the door and back by myself, that they'd let me go. So I remember standing up, walking to the door, almost to the door, passing out. They put me back in bed. And I told them, give me 1 hour, I'll try again. Because I have 4 kids at home that don't know what's going on right now. So I remember trying to be tough, trying to be strong for my family. But in reality, I learned a lot from my kids. You know, the day I was having a bad day and I was in my room and thinking, man, this is tough. I remember my daughter coming down the hall in her wheelchair, just how to learn how to transfer to again, get dressed again, how to do everything again. And she's like, good morning, Dad, all happy and smiley. And she's pushing herself down the hall. And I just thought, man, the mud was just as deep for both of us, maybe even deeper for her, obviously. But her perspective was very optimistic. Her only questions after the accident was, Dad, can I still have a family? Can I still have babies? Can I still serve a mission for my church? She said, can we still go to Mexico with LifeVantage and help build houses and help families down there? That was her questions after she found out she was never going to walk again. What a powerful example. And I'm glad for examples through my life. So I'm just sharing some laughter, maybe some serious concepts, just so we can put all this in perspective and maybe we can grow a little bit. It's not what you are not that is holding you back. Okay, excuse me. It's not what you are that is holding you back. It's what you think you're not. It's not what you are that is holding you back. It is what you think you are not. I am not good enough. I am not talented enough. I don't look good enough. I don't speak well enough. It's sometimes, and I'll tell you, that was me a lot. I was in the audience looking on stage thinking, man, I grew up on a little ranch. I don't do good talking in front of crowds and people. I'm not very smart. I can barely read and write. And people kind of laugh sometimes. And then after they get to know me, they're like, oh, you're serious. I'm like, yeah, I'm still learning and trying. But the reality is I was just thinking that us down here in the audience will never be them, us and them mentality. So I hope you guys are thinking right, because I really believe we can learn a lot once our minds are right, once we're ready. And we know we're good enough. We know we're ready. We're optimistic, and we know we have good mentors and leaders willing to spend time with us. We have all the boxes checked for success. Then we can go learn things, right? Because sometimes we think this guy on stage throwing the plates has been there forever, right? They are perfect. They're so good. How did they speak so well? They look so nice. They're so talented. They're so perfected, right? I noticed sometimes that the better my meetings were, sometimes the harder it was for some people to accept it, because they're like, man, I have to do that good of a meeting next week. I've actually been having fun keeping things simple and making mistakes, not on purpose, but when a buddy of mine got on stage one time and he knocked the whiteboard over and he about fell off the stage, and he was talking to people and stuttered a little bit. I'm like, man, I think I can do this. It wasn't going to be perfect, but I got to see my friend a little different, because I got to see some of the broken plates. I got to see the trials and the errors and the mistakes and the hard times and the hard year or the hard situation or some of the things in our lives that make this difficult. But we can get there, right? It's one step at a time. Those stairs on the back of the stage, I call phases. I call them learning phases. They're skill sets. Some people call them all different things, but I know it is very, very difficult to jump from the ground all the way onto the stage. That's a lot of growth that has to take place very, very quickly. I believe we take a step, we learn a skill, we take another step, we learn some more. And I also believe when we think we are happy enough and I have enough, I'm making enough money, I have enough friends, I have enough health, whatever you think that is, I think we kind of stop progressing because we don't take the next step or choose to learn the next skill that it takes to be successful. I have broke these up into 4 big phases. I usually don't talk about number 4 because it involves training 7s, 8s, and 9s. So we usually talk about that stuff when we're in a elite training. But on these Zooms, I love talking about phases 1, 2, and 3. And so Kai, thank you for teeing that up and bringing that up and kind of promoting that. But the main idea about phases is the idea that when you see someone perfect on stage, don't think that that has to be you tomorrow, right? That's going to be you someday, but don't think that has to be right now. Let's do it a little bit at a time and let's work on it together. So let's learn in phases. I'm going to give you 3 little words that I use all the time to help teach somebody. It's how I learned stuff on the fire department. It's how I became what I would consider a professional firefighter or a professional medic, things I was not when I started. There was things I learned in network marketing that helped me become what I would consider a professional. Not perfect by all means, and not all knowing, and I have a lot to learn. But I went through some hard times to get to a point where we can say that this is a profession, right? This is something we can hold on to and that our families can have for years to come if we do it correctly. Learn, do, teach. Think about that process. The first thing we do is take a lot of notes. We do a lot of things to learn. We think of the skills that we need in phase 1. Think of the skills we don't need in phase 1. Okay? I think this is a powerful way to think of this. Another way to put this, I'll put these up there. We build belief by learning, by attending, by showing up so someone else can teach, right? Do the presentations. Build is when we're in build mode. There's a lot of work. It's kind of where we go apply what we've learned. Learning is where we take notes. Doing is when we put the notes to work. And teaching is when we teach the next generation the notes, right? We make sure they understand, because I really believe there's plateaus in this business. The plateaus people hit and they get stuck at are typically not just ranks. Now, I can put some ranks behind these behaviors because I talk to enough people that are just in learn mode to know about where they can get to. In presentation mode, I've talked to people that'll present, and they'll get to a certain point, which is good. But until people start mentoring others to fill their shoes and have more presenters on their team, there's another plateau until they learn that. And there's even a 4th one we can talk about later, but these 3 we'll just mention tonight since we have just a little bit of time. The first thing is, what behaviors are in the first phase? Learn, believe, right? I'm going to use the terms to invite and enroll. Phase 1 to me is to invite and enroll. What that means is we have a why, we have our database. We learn to do an invitation to the presentation. I believe someone that's in phase 2 typically is the one that does the presentation. I'll say for us at first, with us is probably a better way. When you're putting your friend on a Zoom so that Kai, right, or Marjorie can do the presentation, then you're in phase 1 and Kai's in phase 2 that day. So someone who's been there, who knows the information, they can do it. They're the ones doing the presentation, building, working. These acronyms aren't perfect in every situation, and we do build in phase 1 and things like that, but I'm just putting some categories in your mind. When we're talking to a guest and having them show up to a meeting, we're in phase 1. When we're telling a guest what LifeVantage is, not just come look, but company, timing, trend, product, compensation, system, when we're teaching them, educating them, then I think we're in phase 2. I think phase 3 is what I'm doing tonight, is when we're talking to distributors. When we're talking to other people that are already in the business, I consider that a mentoring phase, or a phase where we're actually, I think the last word here is I put become, right? So believe, build, become. We did a Be Free tour once with a bunch of Pro 10s, and we called it the Be Free tour, and we taught to believe, we taught them how to build, and we taught them how to become a leader and a mentor. And I think there's power in the process of becoming. There's power in learning one step at a time, applying it until we get it right, and then teaching someone else to do that. In Mexico this year, we always travel somewhere and try to help people. And when we go to Mexico and build houses, I tell my kids how to do this and teach the leaders and say, hey, someone who was here last year, come up here, and we bring someone over and we let someone who already learned, they get to teach the 5 or 10 or 20 new people that have never laid block before. They put the mortar on the block, they lay the block, and they show them. And somebody is watching and learning, and they're just looking and learning and maybe taking notes, or they're looking at the block, or they might try to put some mud on the block and see if they can make it stick. And then they start laying block, and they lay block, and they lay block. And it's not perfect. Sometimes it's pretty bad. We had a wall down there in Mexico. I put there was 17 kids on our house working on this house. And I called it the kid wall. I had all these young little kids, excuse me, build this wall. And they were young. They were just putting mud down and it was a little bit crooked. It wasn't perfect. And at lunchtime, everyone went to lunch, and I stayed back from lunch to try to fix the wall, tap it straight, make it look straight. Well, the guy who was going to get the house, him and his family, I think he had 7 kids. They lived in a shack. This guy came over in tears. He was crying. He said, please don't fix that wall. He said, leave it alone. He said, I watched 17 little kids build my house out of love today. And all of those crooked blocks just mean effort and love and work and support. And I don't want you to change it. And so we left it there. It's one of the only ugly walls down there, but it's funny to go there and remember the spiritual feeling that he had and the connection with this family, to remember that these little kids were giving their all building this house in phase 2, right? They learned it, they watched it, then they worked on it. And then I let those kids teach the next group, because one year we had a group come in the morning and a different group come the next day or the evening. And so I had the ones that had learned it already teach the newcomers, right? I believe if we don't pass the marker to another person and teach them to do the presentations, we are probably hurting ourselves long-term, because we're not getting enough exposures on our team. What I mean, if I do 15 presentations a month for my 10 people that I signed up, they're bringing their friends, they're enrolling, they're having a lot of success, but I can only do 15 or 20 or 30. Even if I do one every day, maybe 30 presentations. And there's months I did 90. We did up to 3 a day. But even at 90, sounds like a lot. You're limited to how many you can do by yourself. After I learned to teach, learned to mentor, learned to put other people, hand them the marker, teach them what to say, what to do, I didn't just hand it to them. I did the meeting with them. They did part of the meeting with me. I let them do the product, and then I did the business, or they would talk about timing and I would talk about compensation. Or maybe they were great at the business and the product, the business and maybe the compensation, and I would just teach the system at the end. So we always covered those 6 points, but I let others do some of that with me. And I'm grateful I did, because when we ended up in the hospital, this is why we dig the well before we're thirsty. We dig and we dig and we dig when things are good, and we taught and we trained. We did a lot of work, a lot of building, and we became a mentor. And eventually, when we ended up in the hospital, nothing changed, because we had not 10 or 15 or 20, but 50, 60, 70 people on our team that were doing their own 15 presentations a month, right? One of the behaviors we teach, always do what you say you're going to do. 15 presentations a month, right? Promote, 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 right? Attend all events. There's things that we have to continue to do as skills and behaviors. But the ability to learn the skills in a little piece by piece is awesome. Just show up. If you're new, don't worry about the mentoring and the teaching. Just come, bring somebody, come and bring somebody, right? And I mean that, and I understand it's not as face-to-face now as it used to be. So when I mean come and bring somebody, I might be talking about a Zoom or a Facebook Live or whatever that is, but I just mean the behavior of bringing and inviting and bringing, inviting, letting somebody do the presentation, and then we follow up and enroll them. And when they enroll, guess what? Pretty soon, when you do that to enough people, you're going to need to step up and present, because when you have 10 people who've enrolled, all trying to talk to their friends and put them in front of this information, not even Kai can do all the meetings, right? Marjorie, we can't do them all. On Zoom, it helps because we can talk a little more globally, and we can talk to more cities at once and do that. But the reality is we do a better job if we can slowly educate people to fill those spots. So something fun that I did was just to put some phases and attach them to what I believe might be some goals. I believe if you say, I want to make a few $100s a month, if you just invited and enrolled and invited and enrolled, then that's the people I see making hundreds of dollars very consistently. And I do believe, though, if your goal is to make thousands, okay, and I'm using our income statement form averages so that we can, be with the legal team to be fair, saying some people are less, some people are more. But I believe if you learn to present and teach and present and teach, the people on my team that are doing that over a long period of time, doing the work, right, building, doing the presentation, the presenting, I see them making thousands. I see that their skill set catches up to them, and they become the type of person that can run a Pro 5 business, right? I love teaching at the Pro 5 fly-in because I get to go there and talk to people that I know are inviting, and I know they're presenting, but they're probably maybe not mentoring yet. Because I think when we start mentoring people, we get to 6 and 7 and 8 and 9. And that's why, when you hear people like Kai and Marjorie, and I have some of you other ones as well, I just know that those two are specific to that I have helped with this process and helped them become mentors, because they got to those ranks because they're willing to not just do all the presentations, but to pass the marker, pass the baton, train others to do that. So when we leave town, progress can still take place. When we come back, we can support and help and correct things. But then if we have to leave, or maybe we have to be in the hospital, we have to be with my wife or my kids, those kind of have tos, it's okay, because our team isn't relying on me having to be there to grow their business, because they've learned and they're doing and they're teaching, they're doing the process. Now, I think that if you want to set goals around becoming an elite, then we need to slowly become someone who not only, number one, the question I would ask to be phase 1 is, how many leaders have you enrolled? Right? If that's just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, then you're still in that phase, right? We're enrolling. And I'll actually say we never leave that phase. But what I mean by that is that's our focus phase right now, is just putting people in. Now, how many presentations are you doing every month, right? If our team is big enough that they're keeping us doing meeting after meeting after meeting, that's probably where we need to be, because we're supporting, we're doing meetings. I'm not going to turn this meeting down to go talk to my neighbor tonight as a new person. I would rather do this presentation in a mentoring phase, because I can spend 1 hour with all of you and maybe affect hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours to your teams as you pass and mentor and pass this information down to your teams, right? So I believe to spend the time in the highest phase that I can. Now, if you guys didn't call me tonight, or tomorrow there's no meetings on Zoom, and all my presentations are done, then I'll go talk to my neighbor. I'm not going to miss the chance to do the skill that I know how to do, but I am making sure that my presentations and mentoring and training come as a priority. Now, if you answer the question, how many presentations are you doing a month? Now I'm doing 15, 20, 30 a month. My team's keeping me busy. Then you're in phase 2. That's a great place to be. But the question for phase 3, to know if you're in that phase, the question is this: how many how many people on your team are doing 15 presentations for their team? How many leaders on your team are doing 15 presentations for their team? And it's okay if it's not very many, right? We're still breaking plates. We're still stepping up to the stage. Kai might have a bigger answer for that than some of you because she's a higher rank. That's actually, believe it or not, how she got to that rank, was learning to pass the baton and teach others to do those presentations if she's not in town, right? Or if she can't be there. It's the way we got there, because not only for phase 4, I'll just touch on it. To me, phase 4 isn't just teaching people to do presentations. It's when I work with Kai specifically so that she has 10 others doing those kind of presentations, teaching her how to teach them, mentoring mentors. It's a whole different phase we won't get into tonight. But think about this: if you had yourself by yourself 15 presentations, and that's 15 presentations, even if you had 2 people at each of those presentations, 30 people, right? Powerful. What if there was 10 people on your team doing 15 presentations? That's 150 presentations, 2 people at each meeting, 300 exposures, right? Same time, same month, same everything, but you have mentored people to do what you used to do. And I don't say used to meaning I checked it off and I don't do it anymore, but it's the skill that you've owned and you've taught others to own the same skill. What are professionals? We embrace others taking our spot. I hope everyone takes my spot as a Pro 10. There's room for all of us. Come up and take the spots, bring us up, because all that means is we all have mentored people. It's not the corporate ladder. You have to wait till somebody get off the ladder before I go up. It's not like that here. You climb the ladder, turn around and throw more ladders down to people, right? Throw ladders and lift them up and bring them up and let them grow with us. This is an older slide and I need to make some corrections, but I'm just going to show you that people to have the same as a Pro 7 income, we'd have to have $2.4 million in the bank at 5% interest to make $10,000 a month on our money. If we had 1.2 million at 5%, that's what it would take to make $5,000 every single month, right? A leverage type income. That's the same as our Pro 6s make, right? Think about the amount of time it might take you to put $600,000 in the bank. How are you doing so far? How old are you? How much is in the savings? How much did you do the last 2 or 3 years? But 5% of 600,000 is $2,500 a month in retirement type income. That's the same as the average Pro 5 is making. So one question I ask people all the time: can I help you go get to Pro 5? Easier than helping you put 600,000 in the bank from some other system that may be broken? I think so. And we've been helping a lot of people work through that process. I'm going to go forward on this a little bit because of time, but I just wanted to show you that sometimes our circle of influence, we don't have to enroll the stranger down the street. Sometimes if we just work in our circle, we end up with the person down the street in our group, but it's because we worked in our circles, they worked in their circles, they worked in their circles. And I really have, this is a bigger concept we could talk about, but I really believe that we got to where we are because we worked very good in a warm market, and we worked really hard, close, handshakes and hugs when we were allowed to, right? And now we have to do it a little different, I understand. But we work in those circles, and we made our time valuable in reaching out. And eventually this is what it starts to look like though, right? When you connect all those dots, we still connect to the world. We still connect to the Philippines. We connect to Puerto Rico. We connect to Japan. We got people in every country in our groups. And I didn't personally know people there. I do now, and I love them, and they're part of my family. But at first I didn't have to know them there to know that. We have to think globally, but build locally, build strong, build hard. You guys have opened a country that's just waiting for this information. They're waiting to grow. And you guys are in a very good spot to just go to work and build something that's amazing. We don't reach our goals alone. We work with others. Here's something I think will touch our hearts a little bit and help us to think a little bigger. We need to expand our reasons for doing this. I think if we expand our why, we start to expand our dedication, the time commitment. We give more time. We make it a bigger priority. Some people spend a lot of time. Most of the people that we talk to right now, this will hit home more right now than ever. They're trying to survive. They're in a crisis every day trying to survive. That might be with health. That might be with money. That might be with my job. Here in the States, we had certain jobs that had to be closed down because it wasn't essential. And if you worked for that job, sorry, you had to go home. And we had to deal with all of that stuff lately. I believe external pushes make us go work hard. Food, water, shelter, the basics, health. We go work hard to survive. What happens when we're surviving? Some of us, it's okay. We're okay right now. It's not great, but we're okay. When we try to go have success when we're surviving, it takes a different set of things in our mind. It takes things like desire and willpower and integrity and motivation, doing what we say we're going to do, right? Working hard, putting a lot of time. Some of those things are internal pushes, things from inside. When you read a leadership book, you don't read a lot about just the external pushes. You read about the internal ways to develop your pushes. I learned one other step. I'm going to challenge you guys to think one time bigger than just being successful. Because some of you on this call are fairly successful, okay? So I'm kind of talking to the few on this call that have done that. I want to suggest that we go be significant. I talked to Kai the other day and I heard the significance in her voice, right? I want to be here. I'm staying here. I'm not leaving. These people need it. They're excited. They're running. This is going to be huge. I'm missing this. I'm missing that. I'm missing this because these people mean this to me. That's going to be significant. I hope your great grandkids are talking about what Marjorie and what Kai did for you to teach you and mentor you and help you. But it takes purpose. It takes a reason so that we can leave a legacy. We can give back. We can be a servant leader. It's the big stuff that we try to accomplish at that type of mentality, right? Just a little thought. This is what someone brought to one of our lead academies when I was pretty successful and not hit a plateau, but I was kind of just there wondering what's next. And I worked ever since then to leave a legacy of significance. And my purpose got bigger that day. I know we're down to just a little bit of time and I want to leave some time for Kai to answer questions, but let me just show you with my daughters, you guys, to go from an accident to being mentors. They're on a stage talking to hundreds of kids their age about what? About trials. And don't worry about the likes on Instagram and Facebook, and don't worry about that stuff. They'll live life. My kids up there giggling and laughing, and they're just helping and serving. I had calls from so many parents after events like this that call me and say, what did your daughters say? My daughter's different. She thinks different. She's tender. She's soft. She's humble. She's not worried about certain things anymore. And it comes from going through it and becoming a mentor, right? How are you going to mentor someone to be an elite in this company until you go through it? You suffer through it. You struggle. You sacrifice through it. And you become a leader. True leaders don't create followers. They create more leaders. I'm going to put these up here real quick. If you want to just take a picture. I believe when I teach this, what I tell people is find something that you're doing on the right side and get rid of it, and find something on the blue side that you're doing okay and do better at it, right? Because leaders take responsibility. They don't blame other people. They're not the squeaky wheel. They don't make excuses. They're straightforward. They're believers. Like, these are just a list of things we've come up with because I believe we need to find followers right now. Excuse me. We're finding followers, but I believe we're turning the followers into leaders. We're looking for leaders, not just followers. We found a lot of followers, right? But our business will grow when those followers become leaders. Does that make sense? So our job is to try to do that. Successful people don't make excuses, and excuses do not make people successful. Something to think about. I got 3 pages of these. I'm just going to put them up here and you guys can just take a picture. This is really powerful if you have time to seriously circle something on that right-hand side that you want to get rid of, right? Being needy, reactive, I don't want to change, all this stuff. You get on the other side and you stand out, you have vision, you believe in others, you don't get distracted, you stay focused, right? You love progression and moving forward. What a power. At any moment, you have to be willing to give up who you are for who you want to be. And I don't like telling people this. I don't go and say, you need to change. But what happens when people start digging down, they realize, man, for me to be that person on stage, to be in phase 3 and to be an elite and to make the kind of money that my goals have set to be, I need to think differently. I need to give up some of these things. I had a buddy that was stuck on video games. Man, he'd get a new video game and he lost 3 jobs because he would play at night, fall asleep, miss work, and get fired. And I helped him get another job, and he did it again, and another job, and again. And then he said, hey, why don't I come work for LifeVantage with you, and maybe that'll be better. I'm like, probably not, bro. I said, you're probably not going to make it LifeVantage if you can't self-pace and you can't do what you say you're going to do and put things away that are affecting your life, right? Maybe this is social media if you're down too many rabbit holes, right? Maybe it's doing too much time in some areas that aren't healthy. So you figure it out, give some things up, become who you really want to become, move from the one side of that chart to the other side. Here's the last list. Have Jeeps, ride in Jeeps. That's kind of a joke, but we love those that are working hard and represent the elites in the company, and we appreciate them. They always want to change the system. They master systems. They don't quit. The good stuff. They do the work. My favorite is all in, and some are 1 foot in. Are we 1 foot in? Or are we doing this? Are we all in? Are we going to make this happen? Right? That's my picture of being all in. That's my joke when I say, what does all in look like? It's jumping. It's going for it. Right? We were doing a meeting at my house, and someone said, what does all in look like? I climbed over to there. I said, take a picture of this, and I just went for it in my pool. The reality is, that's to me what going for it looks like, right? My daughter had cancer right after, 1 year after our accident. And she had to fight brain cancer, had surgery and everything right after. You're talking about trial after trial. This was her taking a picture in the cancer center the day she found out that she was cancer-free after the surgery. Be strong when you're weak, brave when you're scared, and humble when you're victorious, right? What a powerful message that my daughter taught me, to just be, when you're scared, go for it, be brave. All in is a different mentality than I'm gonna try this, right? I don't know if you'll be successful trying it. Ask me, does Kai Hayes just try it sometimes? Right? It's not, it's all in. It's a different mentality. And I could say that about a lot of you on this call. My family adopted a piece of road. My daughter actually did this as a project. And I believe that this project's powerful. Everyone that drives by, decisions determine your destiny. You have a choice, right? Is LifeVantage it? Is it for you? That choice is powerful. And I hope it's something that you can hold on to and make it serious in your life. I really believe we have something special. I believe we don't have to be everything today, but we need to be going the right direction. If you aren't there yet, this is why we have leaders to mentor you. If you can't present yet and you don't know some of the terms and you don't know what to say or what to do, first of all, if you just go try and make mistakes, you'll get over it. You'll break some plates and you'll be okay. But let us help speed that process up. Let's let the leaders on this call be some of the support for you. And then phase 3, when you're in that position, be grateful. Remember where you came from. Remember the hard times. Remember what it took to get to where you are, and go back and share. Be vulnerable, share that, mentor your team, because what we're looking for on my team, for me to move to the next level in this company, I need 20 Kai Hayes. I need 20 of them. And they're hard to find, right? But they develop and they're amazing, and she is amazing. I need more Marjorie Hamps to teach and mentor others, and who will put the time and the extra stuff. And that is who you're looking for. But you only find it through the process of becoming a professional. So I know we're short on time, Kyle. I'll give it back to you. I'll try to stay on a little bit. I am taking my wife out tonight. I got a dinner plan with her, so we're gonna go as Friday night, date night. But I'm gonna stay on for a few minutes and just maybe hear some of the comments and thoughts. If this helps you at all later, come up and say hi when we're at an event or something, and give us a big hug. And sometimes we're talking to a computer instead of people. I wish I could give hugs and handshakes. And I was gonna invent a little box right by the computer that plugs into your USB. And at the end, you hit a button and the hand comes out and you can shake it. So at least there's a connection. So I feel bad a little bit, but I hope you guys are working hard. I feel bad for the situation some of you in, and I hope this is a way out for many of you in 5-10 years down the road. I hope we have some amazing stories where we're hanging out in some of the most amazing places in the world together as leaders when we're doing hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and we're a big company and we all get to enjoy the success that we help create. So I'll mute out. I'll turn it back to you. Thank you so much for inviting me on this call tonight, and let's do it again sometime.
Wow. Guys, Blue, I am speechless. It's like I feel like I'm a new distributor jumping on this call. Guys, didn't I tell you guys that having Blue in our training would put you to tears? Not only put you to tears, but there's a lot of golden nuggets, you guys, that everyone could learn from Blue today. I would like to open this time right now for you guys to unmute yourself and ask Blue a question while he's still here. And also you can actually give comments on how you felt about this training, because yes, thank you, Lara, because I'm just holding my tears, you guys. This is an amazing training today, and we have learned so much about life, about humility, about leadership, about everything that's comprises all our life, what's happening in our life. Guys, Blue Elam and his family just learned how to dig the well before getting thirsty. I'm sure you feel the same way as I do, because you know, like it happened to us as well. But guys, you must be hungry. You must be hungry for training. You must be hungry to learn the skills in order for you to get to where you want to be. And I'm sure that you guys have taken all the notes and took some pictures of all those wonderful, great golden nuggets that Blue has shared with us. So with that said, I don't know if you are shy, but if you are shy, just text your questions on the chat box section. But for those who can unmute themselves and do throw your questions away while Blue's still here, you guys, please do so. All right. So unmute yourself.
Hello, can I be first?
Yes.
Hi, thank you, Blue, for sharing your story. As a parent of a son with autism, I can feel, you know, your why, and thank you so much for inspiring me again. I was kind of like a follower today, but after your training, I want to be a leader again. So my question is, what is the most effective way of converting these followers that's, you know, you're recruiting, especially running for Pro 5. So what's the most effective way of converting these followers to be a leader?
Thank you for saying that. And here's why I teach those last 3 slides with all the leaders and followers, because I don't think it's one thing, right? It's telling them it's okay to follow at first. First of all, it's okay to be a follower, right? Because you have to learn. Followers learn really well. Not the ones that are giving up and the stuff on that list, but what I mean by they're okay to come to a meeting and take notes. They're not up on stage yet. It's okay. Just show up, take notes, but they're positive. They're growing. The reason I print those off is to help people go to a leader every week, help them get rid of something on the follower side and move it to the leader side. Just keep moving principles, behaviors, mindset, move it to the leader side and watch what slowly takes place. The other thing is doing it. Just doing it and making mistakes. After we do the best we can to prepare, we took notes, then we're on the job training. We get in front of the room and we make a mistake, and it's okay. As a good mentor, what I did when someone got up and made a mistake, I always went after they did. I edified them for all the good stuff they said. If they said something wrong, I'd have to fix it, right? We don't cure cancer. Let me fix that. Like I would say stuff like that to make sure that we can protect the company. That's mentorship, that's leadership. And then I would take them to dinner. And at the IHOP is one place in the States that's open at 1 a.m, right? We'd go to dinner and I'd say, hey, here's the 10 things you did amazing. Here's 2 things that you can work on for next time. that I think would help your presentation be more powerful. And they slowly became leaders. They slowly became empowered. They took ownership. And pretty soon, if I couldn't come, or they'd schedule a meeting, or someone in Boston said, hey, Blue, when's the next meeting? I said, it's whenever you plan it, man, you're up, like you're ready. But I tell people it's like a little bird in a nest, right? You throw it out of the nest and it flies, right? Eventually. But you can't throw the bird out of the nest until it has some feathers, right? You have to wait till they've grown, progressed, and they're ready. When they're ready, push them just outside their comfort zone to grow, but not far enough to fail, right? There's a balance in that comfort zone. So that's my way of finding them. And then to me, it's the person who does what they say. If they say, I'll be at your house, I'll be at this meeting, I'll make it work. It's the person that follows through with what they say. That's a behavior of a leader, and it stands out very big in this industry. So those are some thoughts, and I'm sure everyone has some ideas, but that's why I made those two lists. So let's slowly push people over to that other side, and we'll find more leadership.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Grace, and thank you, Blue.
Someone asked, I read through the chat real quick, and I didn't see it earlier, I apologize, but someone asked, Ernesto asked if what would I do different if I had to do it again? And I don't know, I'll tell you this, we ran hard. I would think most people would say they didn't run hard enough soon enough. That's what most people will say. I didn't do a lot of work in a little bit of time. They tried to do 2 a day, or talk to 1 person a day, or enroll a couple people this month or this year. We enrolled 25 people in 90 days. We put it all the work in one little box. Then those 25 people all wanted to talk to their friends. So we did hundreds of meetings, 90 a month, some months, in their homes, on Zoom, whatever it took. And so we ran. And so I will just answer, maybe not in our case, we almost put ourselves in the hospital. We were on the road. Like, it was probably unrealistic for most, but most of the 10s did things like that. So my simple answer is believe. You guys just opened. Let's do the work. Let's go get it done in the shortest amount of time. Put everything you can aside, a little bit of imbalance. Don't do crazy things, in my opinion. You got a wife, you got kids, you got a husband. There's some balance, right? But let's do what we can. I didn't go to one of my kids' ball games for 1 year. I missed all my kids' ball games. Some people thought I was crazy, but that year we hit rank. We retired from everything we did. We were home. It was valuable. So put it in perspective in your own world. But now I don't have to miss any games because we pushed during that time. So think about that a little bit. But I didn't want to miss that question that Ernesto asked. Sorry about that. Go ahead if there's someone else.
Yes, Blue, I hope you have another time to answer this question. Milette Ventura, she said, how do you keep yourself so strong and focused on what you do?
Strong and focused. I can tell you, I didn't feel strong out of the hospital. I was weak. I was in a wheelchair. I was on crutches. I stood in front with 2 crutches and did a 4-hour training. Almost passed out in the pain. It's hard, I guess. I know Kai talks a lot about that, but it's a lot of heart, a lot of dedication. I talk a lot of times about building leadership backed by leader. Some people call it depth. But I think the word depth works when you talk about character. The word depth works when you talk about leadership. The word building groups and teams to support you are there. But what I try to do the most, here's what my simple answer would be after kind of the big picture, is I find other people's reasons that they want this, and I kind of attach them to me. If you really want this, I will match you step per step. And I always do what I say I'm going to do. And if they do their part, if they take their step, I'll take my 2 steps. If they take their step, I'll take my 2 steps. And I've learned to attach myself to good people that are willing to commit. And that's what keeps me going. The other thing is I don't get burnt out just enrolling. I also do these calls so I can be in phase 4 and phase 3, and I can mentor. I also do a lot of presentations. I was up last week at my daughter's house, 45 minutes from here. I drove to her house. She had 12 people in the room, and we did a presentation in her home for all her college friends. That's fun. That's exciting. I also enrolled a neighbor of mine a few weeks ago. So we're in all the phases, and I think that helps be strong. It helps keep all our skills, and it helps us to not get in management mode. It helps us to keep building in all our different groups. So maybe that's helpful.
I hope that answers your question, Milette. So we're gonna let Blue go if you guys
Yes, thank you very
don't have
much,
any
Blue.
questions, unless you
You are
have any
remarkable.
questions. Anybody? Final,
I do have
final
a question.
question.
I heard one more question. Is that you,
Hi.
Mac?
Yes, yes, Marian.
Hi. I do have a question. So, as you know, the fortune is within the invite. So my question is, how do you handle rejection or saying no?
That's awesome. I'll tell you this. I've heard the phrase, the fortune is in the invite, the fortune is in the follow-up, the fortune is in all these pieces, right? Because it's a system. So there's a process to everything. Rejection is one of those things that hits you in all of the different parts of the process. Sometimes they reject our invitation. Sometimes they see the presentation and they reject the follow-up. Sometimes they reject it during the concerns. They have a concern that they can't get over and they reject us then. So it's something we have to learn. I have a buddy that used to tell people, hey, can you come to my house just to say no? Because he read that book, Go for No, right? The idea that if you just come say no, that's okay, because I understand if I get enough no's, then my percentages are higher to get a yes. So just come be one of my no's, right? I don't do it that way, but I thought that was funny that he was okay. He was so okay with getting told no. He was telling people to please come to say no, knowing obviously that the percentages would play out. So to overcome those difficult times, I can tell you what, it only takes one or two good experiences to overcome a lot of heartache, right? On the fire department, I lost a lot of people in my arms who passed away. But we had one little baby that was this big that we got to save. And we were on the news and it was big. And that one thing made all those heartaches worth it, right? When I see a Kai Hayes, right? A Chris Michaels, when I see Chris Michaels we personally sponsor, when you have someone finally get it and run and become, right? Go through the process of believing and building and becoming, that one success, just hold on to it, embrace it, love it. Because those little successes can help you through years and months of heartache of people that don't see how we see it. They're out there, and if you just keep going, we're going to find those people that think like we do. So they're there. Look how many people on this call that we have found through the process. And you guys are in a new area. It's ready. Everything's set up and ready to run. I think you're in a good place and a good time. So rejection will happen, but I think you have enough successes that it'll help. And maybe the successes aren't yours right away. Let other people share their successes. Listen, maybe some of your calls, just share some success stories so we can all hold on to those successes to overcome some of the hard times. So we'll share those more as we share with you guys.
Okay, great. You guys, you just have seen the characteristics of an executive master pro 10, Blue Elam. What an honor to have you here tonight, Blue. It's such a great time for you to train us and to give your wisdom to us. What a humble person you are. And guys, just a golden message for you. There is no secret to success. You are the secret. You just need to know how bad you want this, because Blue wants this so bad as much as I do. We made a choice, you guys. We made our decision, and certainly I am following Blue's footstep, going there to the Executive Master Pro 10 position, and I guess you must as well, right? So everyone, thank you also for your time. We value your time. We love you, and keep on learning, and keep on plugging in, you guys, until the next training, until the next BOM. I love you, and keep on serving your team. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Blue.